Welcome everyone to Irish Wrestle Talk, and I'm pleased to be joined by Limerick native and Irish wrestler Robbie Mack to talk about all things wrestling in Ireland and in general. And anyone that's familiar with Irish wrestling should know who Robbie is at this stage and his links to Hard Knocks and so on like that. So Robbie, good to have you here.
Derek, thanks for having me on.
No worries at all. And look, don't worry about what the 5 marks say about you at all. You're always welcome.
It's not all of them. It's only one. And he knows who he is. Carmo is the man, so.
He is. He's a decent lad, all right. Martin's not too bad either. But that's it. Well, look, you're someone I admire. I think you're doing a wonderful job, and you got into the game in recent years as well. Bit of a late starter. And like I said, I've seen you elsewhere on other podcasts and so on, and you have a wealth of experience and knowledge in the Irish wrestling scene. I saw you in the Summer Rumble, I think was the first time in July in No Limit Wrestling, and at Undeniable then in September, on the 1st of September then as well. And you were in a very hard-hitting match there where you teamed with Monty and Cormac.
Yeah, you can say that again. A big shout out to the lads in NLW as well. Jamie Coleman, an absolute star, has invited us up numerous times. The Summer Rumble was my first time in NLWs, and it was a great experience. I got to work with a lot of the lads that I've worked with some of them before in kind of short-term stuff, but it was nice to get in and be able to pick different people's brains rather than like the people that were around kind of 7 days a week, you know?
Yeah, no, it was really good.
And whatever the last one was, Undeniable, with Cormac and Monty. Like, I'm with Cormac and Monty probably 5 out of 7 days a week anyway. So we work well together. But yeah, a really, really hard-hitting match on that show.
It was.
I think I still have the dents to prove it.
There was a lot of it going on outside the ring for most of it anyway. And I think I saw glasses, and there was all kinds of things flying around.
Yeah. That was a fight that needed to happen. Myself and Reardon O'Connor, as wrestlers, we don't see eye to eye. Myself and Chris Connolly as wrestlers don't see eye to eye. And Jay Steins is Jay Steins, but that's neither here nor there. Me and Jay Steins will cross this bridge again when we come to it, but it was a blow-off for the likes of myself and Reardon and myself and Chris, because we've crossed paths numerous times now, and it's always I get one up in them or they get one up in me. So this time it was right. If you want to play that way, fair go. Yeah. So we had a fair go. Now the fair go spilled out of the ring, and it involved hurleys, glasses, bacon trays. Allegedly, I tried to drown someone. Allegedly.
I didn't see anything like that anyway.
Hey.
We'll say nothing.
I'm thinking.
But your first match, I think, was against Chris Connolly some time back. Is that correct?
Yeah. My first official match, I think, as we'd come on, would have been a training match against Magic Mikey Kelly. But I think it was only March of last year, and then so my first on-show match would have been against Big Chris on Hard Luck, which would be now Hard Luck Volume 1, we'd say, our first Hard Luck show. Same show where LJ cashed in on Renzo.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Yeah, and like we mentioned, No Limit there. I was at the one just this past weekend. I had my young fella with me, and he loved it. He's only 6, so it was a great family event. But yourself and Francis Mercer and Steve Savage, you were up to no good towards the end of that. Bit of a beatdown on El Drago Loco, a familiar looking fella with a mask.
We're getting done. Yeah, but you say we're up to no good. We say we're getting stuff done. So
okay, well, that remains to be seen. Anyway, I don't think we've seen the last of that.
Someone has to lay down the law up there. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fancy this and fancy that, and no one really wants to fight up there. So we went, all right, let's see who does want to fight.
Okay,
it'll be interesting to see now who steps forward to fight us.
Well, that's it. Like, we have the Christmas bash is coming up on the 22nd of December. Yeah, so everyone make sure to get your tickets for that. But so you're saying you're going to be making a return there?
It depends on if Jamie has us or not, or if he has someone that's willing to step up to fight us.
Okay.
We're here for business. We're not here for the sake of being here. If no one is stepping up to fight, it won't be there. We're there for a fight, and that's it.
Okay. Well, you've laid down your marker now, that's for sure. Brilliant stuff. So if we go back to Undeniable, then that was my first Hard Knocks experience, and I have to say it was unbelievable, phenomenal from start to finish. You know, there wasn't a bad match at all. They were all bangers, and there was a really special moment. Then we saw at the end Martin Steers and LJ Cleary. How was that for you guys that were watching on?
From a kind of an outside, a peel behind the curtain type of moment here, we as wrestlers cannot be. We're probably the worst in the world and the best in the world at the same time. For like, we're the best in the world for being behind each other and bigging each other up. And again, I said this is peeling the curtain back a small bit, but like,
Yeah,
I could not be like. I was proud of Martin Steers and what he done. And I told Martin Steers this, and everyone, like, Martin Steers is one of our head coaches in Hard Knocks. He comes down every majority of weeks in a month, we'd say, and trains with us down here. We could not be more proud of him as Hard Knocks wrestlers. We know the work that he puts in. We know the work that he puts in behind the scenes and into his wrestling game and into his craft. And to see someone like Martin Steers reach the top, it was unbelievable for us. But not only Martin, like, you go back to the start of the card and from the first match, like Francis Mercer and Terry Thatcher in the ladder match was
unbelievable,
out of this world good. Terry Thatcher is one of the best, and I say this kind of, I don't know whether the correct term is like, I'm almost cutting off my nose despite my face here. It's Terry Thatcher is so underrated.
Yeah.
Sorry, go back. Terry Thatcher is one of the best wrestlers in Ireland, and still so underrated, if that makes sense. You know, it's like, I still don't think Terry Thatcher gets the plaudits that he should be getting for his body of work and the stuff that he's done. Like, I remember 5 years ago this month, Terry Thatcher getting absolutely pummeled around the National Stadium by Eddie Kingston at the 5-year anniversary. And an amazing match, and Terry is still going, and he's still putting out banger after banger to today. But like Francis Mercer kept up with him from the first bell to the last bell, and it was just a hurdle too far for Francis this time. But like, Francis's time will come as well.
Yeah,
like, make no bones about it. Francis is on the way up in his career, not on the way down, and he has a lot more to go up.
Definitely. I think Terry is, like, he's in the game about 20 years now or thereabouts. Yep. Is that correct?
Yep, 20 years.
Yeah, and he was fighting in Aftermath there in Belfast, I think, after the Scrapper Mania as well, and
against Mike Bailey.
Yeah, had a fantastic match there.
Yeah.
So
no matter who wrestles Terry Thatcher, it's going to be a great match.
Yeah.
Terry, a little tidbit of information: Terry versus Boots wrestled at. Did they wrestle on Undisputed? No, the show before it. Collision Course, maybe. Hard Luck Volume 2. Sorry, okay. Hard Luck Volume 2. Terry Thatcher versus Boots Murphy. Out of this world good match.
Yeah.
And it was one of those where it was like, and I remember talking to the Five Marks about it, and their whole thing was, I didn't know I wanted to see this match until after I seen it. And then I was like, that is a match that everyone should see. Like, Terry Thatcher is that good. And I obviously credit to Boots there for that match as well, and credit to Francis for his match. But it's Terry Thatcher. Like, you're going to have a good match with him.
Yeah.
But like, and it's a credit to all the lads that were on, especially on the last show now on Undisputed. It's a credit to everyone that came down and like they put the work in, and it shows when we can put on shows like that are consistently good over and over every show. And I say this to the Five Marks an awful lot, and I think I spoke to Colin Byrne about this as well. It was like, do you base it off the last show? Yes and no. Can this show be as good as the last show? Yes, but we can't compare it to the show at the same time 12 months ago, because the landscape of wrestling changes so much in 12 months, and the landscape of life changes so much in 12 months. We have to use it as comparison, but at the same time, it's like comparison is the thief of joy. We have to make sure that this show is kind of, while it may be tied in with others, it's a standalone, that it's good on its own terms.
Yeah.
That if you were just to watch it, you'd go, that was very, very good.
No, for sure. And look, I've only gotten into the Irish wrestling this year myself. I've said it before, and been at a lot of different shows now at this stage. And the RCW, had a couple of those, NLW, and the Hard Knocks as well, and Scrapper Mania. And like Irish wrestling is right up there. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, and it's an unknown.
It is.
Irish wrestling is like let's call a spade, right? We probably have. I was going to say not to name names, but I will name names. We probably have some of the best wrestlers in Europe, in Ireland. Yeah. Like realistically, LJ Cleary is one of the best in Europe. Fabio,
outstanding.
I hate Fabio. I boldly said, Fabio and Martin Steers are probably one of the best tag teams in Europe.
Yeah, the social elite as well.
Yeah, Maxer and Bullet Smith. Maxer has been around for 20 odd years as well, and he hasn't missed a step. And then not only those, but you have Scotty Davis, who is outstandingly good. They don't call him the Supreme Suplex Machine for nothing. Yeah. Terry Thatcher, I'm definitely going to forget. Big Bad Dirty Nicky is probably my favorite person to sit down and talk to, because his wealth of knowledge is so good. And then you have their learning session Martina. Like Martina is without doubt one of the best in Europe.
Yeah.
I would put her up against anyone and go, here's what a wrestler is. Here's how a wrestler should be. But not only that, then you have the likes of Martina, Maxer, Paddy Morrow, Joe Cabray, and you have the likes of Katie Harvey, Phil Boyd, Justy in Fight Factory, along with Martin Steers and LJ. Right. And you have a new generation learning under them as well. And I'm taking myself out of this now because I'm a lot older than the lads. As you said, I was a late starter. But the likes of Desem, Kian Noonan, Ilya Zarkov, Francis Mercer, Kean Galaccini is he's still young. Luke Frehel, Con Kelly, Boots Murphy. I don't think I mentioned Boots. Bittersweet Josh got a horrible injury on our last show. But
that's right.
It's those. They're the next. Matthew Bullet Smith Smith's only 24 since 2 or 3 days ago.
Jesus.
He's a child. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But he's right up there, and he's pushed right up against that window of hey, the best are in there, and I'm right up against it to get in there. They'll be there. They're learning under the best, but they're also wrestling the best.
But the sky's the limit for a lot of those guys. I think. You know, if they really want it, it's there for them.
Yep, and rightly so, because a lot of those lads are putting in an awful lot of work.
Yeah. And as you say, a lot of the guys that are around for some time now, they're only too happy to give back and to go back and train as well, which is fantastic,
Yeah. I think I remember talking to someone about this, and I can't remember who it was. No, Sammy D, sorry. I forgot to mention Sammy D as well. I think Sammy D is probably one of the best heels in the whole of Europe. Yeah. And Danny Cross / Jay as well. I can't give more praise to the two lads. I can't remember who I was talking to, or we were talking about, but it was this thing about wrestling used to be a guarded secret where you couldn't reach out to anyone. Now I think kind of the advent of technology has helped us there in that aspect as well, where I can reach out to a guy that's in America, and I can talk to him, and he can send me a message back kind of instantaneously. It seems like it's a lot more helpful nowadays. It's a real community orientated sport, where it's everyone is trying to make everyone better, because it's not that maybe it was back in the day I'm not telling you anything because you're taking my spot. Now it's, if you take my spot, well then I have to do better to get it back. There's
raising everybody's standards.
Yes, it's raising everybody. It's a community, but it's a very, very competitive community as well. But it's competitive in a sense that everyone wants to be better. But it's also a sense of everyone wants everyone to be better, if that makes sense. As we said, it's a raising tide, raises all ships.
Yeah, that's for sure. And what role do you feel that fans play in helping to grow the Irish wrestling industry as well?
Yeah, massively. I saw Martin from the 5 Marks. He tweeted someone last year, for the life of me I can't remember who it was. I think it might have actually been Mike Bailey.
Yeah.
And he tweeted, Mike Bailey was like, "Where do you want to see me wrestle?" And Martin was like, "Hard Knocks." That alone was, and Mike Bailey like retweeted that. Then that alone was like, and we were on the social media, so we see that side of it. Is Mike Bailey retweets that, people that are fans of Mike Bailey see that and they go, "Oh, what's this?"
Yeah.
And then they click on and they go, "Oh, okay, cool." So like social media has a big, massive part to play, but like because of the fans on it. Is there negatives? Absolutely. There's always going to be negatives. You could say that about anything. You go to a football match, there's going to be negatives. You go to a rugby match, there's going to be negatives. But it's the positives that people take away from it. And the positives are kind of portrayed in such a good light that everyone, like, my thing every time I try and promote one of our own shows is, trust me, you will not be disappointed if you go. Even if it's your first show, you'll be like, do you know what? That was a lot better than what I thought it was. Yeah. And like, especially for lapsed wrestling fans, like, look, and I don't mean this in a sexist way or anything like that, because I'm going back to kind of my own childhood when it was like wrestling was the boys thing. It's not anymore. Wrestling is for everyone. But back then it was like it's a kind of a boys thing.
100%.
Growing up, kind of all the people my own age were all wrestling fans growing up, and then they all fell out of it.
Yeah, same here.
So like, and the same as myself, like I fell out of it for years as well. But it's one of those then where like after you fall out of it, you go to one of these shows and you're like, I'm firmly back in. I like, even if it's only the Irish scene, you're still like, really good night out. People use our own shows, and I'm going to assume it's the same in. I'll make an assumption and say it's the same in RCW, and to a lesser extent maybe OTT, because OTT has kind of a built-in fan base. They've been doing it for 10 years now, as we know. So OTT's fan base is very kind of, it's the same people over and over. Now RCW and Hard Knocks are getting to that point as well. Fight Factory is exactly the same. Fight Factory have very kind of loyal fans as well. The fans in Hard Knocks and the fans in RCW seem to be going for a good time. And when they have the good time, that's when they become the loyal fans. That's when they go, there's another show on, I'll go to that. Oh, there's a third show on, I'll go to that. So like, we're in both of us as kind of young companies are in that embryo stage of, we haven't got our loyal fans now.
Yeah.
But they're getting there. You know, we've a handful. We've a handful of fans that are there all the time. Like the 5 Marks are there all the time. There's a couple of lads upstairs that are there all the time in Dolan's. I've been to 2 of the RCW shows, I think, and you can see the same kind of 5 or 6 guys that, you can see the heads over there and the lads over there that are at every show as well. That's great, but it's the rest of them. It's the build around the rest of them. Like, okay, them lads are hooked because they're wrestling fans.
Yeah. Let's
get the guy beside him that's just there because he's on a night out. That's the guy you have to hook. Wrestling fan is going to come to a wrestling show.
Definitely.
A casual fan is only there for a few points.
Exactly, yeah.
But you hook him in, and then he goes to the next wrestling show.
And I was speaking with David Woodland from Main Event Images recently, and he was saying, even at Undeniable, he saw a lot of new faces there.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll be back. Like myself, would have found it, a phenomenal night from start to finish, and that's why I'll be looking for the next event. I don't know if you have any news about when the next event is due.
I do, but we need to keep it under wraps for now. We just need to kind of dot the T's and cross the I's, as they say. There's a few little bits and pieces we just need to get sorted first, but the announcement should be very, very soon.
Brilliant. That's great. Yeah, because there was a bit of a premature announcement there I saw recently. All right.
Yeah.
With
Shane.
We'll say it's Shane anyway.
Yeah.
You know. But for someone that has never been to a live Irish wrestling event, what's the best thing you could say to convince them to check it out, Robbie?
Just go. Literally, that's it. It's one of those where, like, I remember on my first day even going training, you have to take the attitude of, sure, I'm just going to do it. And like, I walked into I've been wrestling 2 years since today. Since yesterday. Hang on, I'm going to check this real quick. Just bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to jump back to 2022 and see what the Monday was.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Tuesday. Sorry, tomorrow. I'm wrestling 2 years tomorrow. Whenever this goes out, I'm wrestling 2 years since the 4th of October. And it was one of those where it was like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So it was like, okay, sure, what have I got to lose? It's the exact same with a show. What have you got to lose? You're going to have a great night. Like, unless something mental happens and you fall down the stairs on the way, you're going to have a good night. And you're going to enjoy yourself. And, like, get a couple of your mates and go, do you know what? We'll go for a few pints. There's a show on. Like, it's 20 quid. Most of the shows, they're 20 quid to get into, 22 quid, 23 quid, whatever. It's the price of a takeaway. Definitely, you're going to go in and you're going to have a couple of hours, and I guarantee you're going to have a laugh. You're going to get invested in something that's gone on, or you're going to laugh at something that's gone on, or you're going to get angry at something that's gone on. But either way, it elicits an emotion from you that I can guarantee you, until you're there, you won't realize that something like this would elicit that emotion. Like, I'll give you an example. I'll throw back to November of last year. First Hard Knock show we had. There was a few lads, and this show was kind of a... We reached out to people and was like, look, if you can come, is there any way you could like grab two of your mates to come as well, type of job? Because it was a start. It was like we were trying to get our foot in the door type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I remember 4 lads came down, and the 4 lads were well into their 40s. Yeah, I think 2 of them were into their 50s, and the boys were scuttered at the bar. One of them was crying at the end of the night.
Wow.
Like, Terry Thatcher and Sammy D, I think, wrestled each other in the main event of the first match, and one of them was like, face with his arm up in the air, like, oh my god, so good, and he's high-fiving people on the, like, he's 50 and he's high-fiving this 18-year-old that's standing beside him, like, that was great, I thought.
That's fantastic.
And you're like, you wouldn't have got that if you'd have just went to the pub though, would you? Like, that's the stuff that you need to come to a show for. Like, you said you went to NLW last weekend and you brought your son with you.
Yeah.
Mikey Moore, photographer Mikey, was there as well, and Mikey had his 2 kids with him, and like, they're kids shows, which is different. Our shows are over 18 shows, so we get a little more rope on the over 18 shows.
Yeah.
I have to firmly bite my tongue on NLW, but it's a different audience, but it's still the same. It's still eliciting the same reaction.
It is.
Like, you put adults to watch a wrestling show, adults will become kids.
That's for sure.
They go back to their base mentality of, look, John Cena.
That's it. Look, it was fantastic. My son, like, he was lost in it, you know, by the end. And once he heard the announcement for the Christmas show, like the whole way home, you know, that was so cool. That are we going to the
when
Christmas
are we going
show?
again?
Like, of course, yeah. So like, he's a fan now straight away. Like CBL and Tucker, he was taking
CBL.
With, you know.
There's another guy that I forgot to mention a while ago. Unbelievable. And I tell you what, I've known CBL now maybe 12 months, 18 months. I remember when like CBL got injured, and it was a tough break for an injury, but like, talk about a guy that works hard. There's a guy that really puts in the work as well. Like, not that everybody else doesn't, but like, to come back from injuries like that, and like, that man, bull by name, but bull by nature as well. Like, he is an absolute monster of a man.
He's a beast, yeah. Definitely.
And there's definitely someone I'm forgetting as well. So if I did, I'm sorry, but like, it's one of those, I can't name everyone, but I try to get as many in as possible, because realistically, you could name probably 20 more on top of what I did.
Heaps of them, yeah. No, for sure. Like, and we go down to RCW, you know, Butch Armstrong as well, and we have
Butch,
another fantastic wrestler. Raven Creed is fantastic.
Raven, yeah. Butch, in my opinion, had match of the year last year. Didn't win it, but I thought himself and Terry Thatcher, again, there's Terry popping up.
Yeah,
I thought
Steve
himself
Savage
and
as well. We mentioned
Butch,
at the outset. You know, Steve is he's an animal.
He's been around the block though, so
he's been around.
He's been here a while. We can't call him one of the young upstarts now. Like,
no. Well, you know, he's not that old though. In fairness,
he's not that young either though.
But like, if we turn to you. You know, you were a late starter, but is it something you thought about for some time beforehand, or did you just make a decision, you know, I just want to do this, and you know, to say that I've done it kind of thing, I've given it a go?
Yes and no. It was like, as I said, I was a wrestling fan growing up, and I was a wrestling fan for years, and then I lapsed. I actually went to WrestleMania in 2019. I went to WrestleMania 35. I think it was the last year where it was like a one night event. It was the Becky Lynch Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey main event.
Oh yes.
I'll be 100% honest, and I'll keep this part short and sweet. We flew out Thursday, and we were coming back the following Thursday. We landed Thursday afternoon. We had a show Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. By the time I got home Thursday, I was like, I don't want to see wrestling. I've had enough, because I was burnt out from it. Like, honest to God, I was burnt out. So thought no more of it. Grind, went back to work, done whatever. So 2022 rolls around, and I'm not watching wrestling shows anymore, but I'm kind of in and about it. I got into AEW when it started, so I was watching like their one show, and they were only doing like their 4 pay-per-views a year at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was watching them, and I was doing bits and pieces, and I was only watching kind of the Raw highlights and the SmackDown highlights, as most people do. YouTube Raw highlights, and they'll show you they'll condense a 3-hour show down into 18 minutes. It's great. Yeah. You might miss all the big impact stuff, but you get the gist of it. So I think it was around March or April of 2022, I actually seen it on Steve's own page. Steve had shared wrestling training. So I was like, fuck it, I'd love to give it a go. I'd caught COVID about 2 months beforehand, and I was struggling to get up to the top of the stairs. So I was like, I cannot do it. Like, it was one of those where I knew, I was like, look, if they're doing it now, there's a good chance they're going to run it again. But I physically at the time could not do it. It kind of knocked me for 6 for about, I'd say maybe about 2 or 3 months after I had it. I was kind of like, okay, I'm only really getting back to myself now. And so I thought no more of it. Grind, it passed by. I think they got a couple of trainees in. I think Gallicini and AJ, Axel Jarrett, are the 2 that were there. Sorry, and Magic Mike were the ones from there, and Francis Mercer had been training previously, but the lads had come in. And then I think it came up again in September of 2022, and I was like, right, there you go. That's it. I'm going. I was like, what have I got to lose?
Yeah.
I went in, and I'll never forget it. And Francis Mercer, we talk about this all the time. We actually told our own trainees about it the other day. The first night I was there, I dislocated my shoulder 3 times, like proper out of place, out of socket, had to pop it back in, and I kept going. Yeah. Foolishly, maybe, but it's a long story with my shoulders. I've got dodgy shoulders anyway. Popped it out of place 3 times, kept going. And when I walked out the door, Francis Mercer turned around and goes, well, there's a guy we'll never see again. And after 3 weeks, I was the only one left. So brilliant. It was a baptism of fire. Then after that, it was like, well, all the beginners are gone. So
yeah,
go.
And how,
it was like, go with the guys that have been here 6 months.
And what was the response from your family? They've obviously been quite supportive. You know, it is a dangerous profession to get into in some ways. I know, like, people will say it's fake, but like, that's, you know, crap.
Here, look, it's fake in a sense of it's scripted. We like
predetermined.
And again, peeling back determined. Yeah. It's predetermined, but balling off something isn't fake. Like you still hit the ground. You're hitting the ground. We've got the injuries to prove it.
Yeah.
Bittersweet Josh at the moment has the injuries to prove it.
That's right.
CBL last year had the injuries to prove it. I had the injuries to prove it last year, and like I know for fact there's wrestlers walking around with injuries at the moment.
Yeah.
But they're still putting on shows. They're like, this is a niggling injury. It's going to keep at me, but I'm also going to keep wrestling.
That's it. So like, it's like the lads through the years, you know, in the big promotions like WWE and everything like that. If they didn't work, they didn't get paid. So
yeah, you see that video of it pops up every so often of Roddy Piper on. I think he's on with. I think it's Bill Mayer. He's on, and your man's like, "There's never a scratch on you," and he pulls his pants down, and he's like, "My hip's metal, my wrist is broke." We get on with it.
Yeah.
Like, again, to peel the curtain back a small bit, Bittersweet Josh broke his arm in 2 places.
That's right. Yeah.
And wrestled on for 3 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
But stayed in the ring and wrestled on. Like,
that's insane.
Now adrenaline kept him going, thank God, and he was okay afterwards and everything. But like, injuries happen. So like, when you're looking at it from a family point of view, like I've got a family of my own. Like I got a wife and 2 kids at this stage. Like one of my kids is 17 since last week. So I've got a kid that's an adult, and she's going, "You're slow," and I'm going, "Sure, look, I might as well give it a go." You know, like look, it's one of those, we've all said we want to do this and we want to do that. I'll throw a small tidbit out there. Carmo, and this is one that we say to everyone as well, and Carmo is the perfect example for it. Carmo wanted to see what could he be a wrestler, what it's like to be a wrestler. So Carmo came training. An hour after his first session, Carmo went, right, yep, that's not for me. But now I know it.
Yeah.
But at least, you know, he had
Fair
the
play
balls
to
to
him.
win and go,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. The first step is the hardest. He done the hardest part by walking in the door. So afterwards, when he decided that it wasn't for him, you can't help but go, yeah, all right, but fair enough. Like, you came down, you tried it. Like, wrestling is for everyone, but wrestling also isn't for everyone. Like, it's everyone can be involved in it, but not everyone can do it. And I don't mean that in a mean way. Like, you can, no matter who you are, you can work hard and you can get to that stage where you can do it. But there's people that, and like Carmo, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, Carmo knew after the first session, he was like, yeah, okay, look, I've tried it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about, like, it's not for everyone. But, like,
He got
know
it out of
yourself
his
whether it
system,
is
though.
or it isn't. Yeah, that's it exactly. He went in, he done it, he got it out of his system. It's like anything. Every one of us has played rugby growing up, or football growing up, or hurling, or GAA, or whatever. It's the first step is always the hardest. It's after that then it becomes easier. It just so happens that this sport that we do involves you getting dropped and thrown around the place. So it's.
And how did you find, you know, the likes of cutting promos and things like that? Would you have been more of an extrovert, you know, through the years, or would you have been someone that may have battled with being shy, or how, you know, how would you describe that for maybe somebody that is a little bit shy and they'd love to give it a go? You know, what advice would you give to?
Well, for myself, I always a kind of term, you know, the whole thing. If you kiss the Blarney Stone, you get the gift of the gab. Well, I must have went down and swallowed it, because like you can't, when I start, you can't shut me up. So, like,
Yeah, you don't strike me as being shy, that's for sure.
no, Jesus, no. It didn't bother me in the slightest. My first time with a mic in my hand was the show after Hard Luck. I can't remember the name of it, but they went, here's a microphone, go out and cut a promo on Reardon. And I went, you better apologise to Reardon beforehand. And I went out and lit him on fire. I was like, look, sorry about that, but stuff has to be said. So stuff like that, I don't mind. It's a creative outlet, is what it is. You can have the crack with it. When you need to be serious, be serious. When you need to be funny, be funny. When you need to be cheeky, be cheeky. So, like, not to pat myself on the back, but I'd be very witty in that sense, where if someone throws something, I can throw it back and we'll have a bit of a laugh and a joke and a slag.
Yeah.
But from a shy point of view, some of the shyest people that we work with are also some of the best promos, because you can push them in a certain direction. They become the
character, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like an existential extension of themselves, where it's like, but don't be you, be the character that you play. Now, a lot of the times it's from a wrestling point of view, we know it's like your character is you just turned up to 11. Some people it isn't. You know, some people it's a completely different character, and once you get out of almost get out of your own way and go, okay, here's what we're going to do. Some people need the arm around the shoulder. Some people need a kick up the arse. It's that kind of thing as well, you know, where it's like you help people along to do it as best as they can. But like the Sem's promos, like the Sem doesn't talk, and his promos are the best in Ireland.
Yeah.
So I love the Sem. He's legitimately, I think he's my favorite wrestler in the whole of Ireland. Has been since I got back into the scene, or since he got back into the scene even. Yeah. I think his creativity is so good and so different that you can't help but go, what's going on over there? What's he doing?
He's very funny as well.
Very, very funny. Yeah. Very funny. So, like, but he's shy.
Yeah.
So, you know,
he uses different ways to get around that.
Sorry, someone just popped into my head. Renzo Rose. I apologize to Renzo. I didn't mention him a while ago. Renzo Rose is the worst person I've ever met. Worst person. He's a dickhead as a wrestler. Do you know what I mean? He's like, but he's so good at it. You're like, you
Yeah.
make me mad how good you are. You are the ultimate heel. I love watching Renzo work. He's so good. He's a guy that comes out and he elicits a reaction without doing anything.
That's right.
He stands there and you're like, I hate
The
that guy.
Italian Championship down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not even that. He walks out, he stands there all smug, and your first thought is, knobhead.
Yeah.
He hasn't even opened his mouth yet. And you're still like, nah, I don't like him. There's something about it. That goes to show how good he is. LJ clearly mentioned it. Oh, he's so good. Like,
Yeah.
LJ mentioned it about 2 years ago, year and a half ago maybe. He said one of the best things you can do is be comfortable doing nothing in ring. And Renzo has that down to a T, because he can stand there holding the roses, holding the microphone with the mask on, and stand there for 30 seconds. And believe me when I tell you, 5 seconds in there feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
Especially if it's quiet and you're like, because you take everything in. That man can stand there for half a minute and he'd be like, I'll wait. And he's just holding the microphone and he looks as cool. He looks as cool as a cucumber, but he elicits that emotion from everyone then where they're like, I can't wait to hear what he says, but I hate him. So like, sorry, that was off on a tangent, but that's a throwback to like the comments from earlier when I was on about like the best wrestlers in Europe and stuff, and how we have so many of them over here. Renzo is right up there at the top of that list as well.
Definitely.
But from an introverted or an extroverted point of view, it's one of those where there's help there. There's people here that do, and I mean here in Ireland, that are top class at their promos.
Yeah.
And everyone helps everyone. It's like, you're never on your own to do something in Ireland. There's always someone here that will help you, or there's always, in some instances, there's a couple of people that will help you. We do an awful lot of work on, if you can have the laugh and the joke, if you're loud in the ring, if you can do it in training, then it's easier to do it in front of a crowd, because once you might be nervous, you'll also be excited. And like, now obviously there's a certain point where it goes overboard, but like, you can work on the excitement of the crowd, where if you're quiet anyway, you're going to be quieter in the ring when there's a crowd roaring at you, or when there's a crowd screaming for you. You're kind of like, shit, what am I after doing here? If we can get that out of you at the very, very start, and work on it the whole way, where it's like, be louder, don't shout at that person, like shout at this person. We're here as the crowd. Like we to be training the lads to have training matches, and we're booing them on the outside. You know, but we're their crowd, like we're their peers in that instance. So like we're the customer in that instance, where we're watching them. So like, make me have a reaction. If you can do that in training, where you look out or you say something or you do something and everyone goes, that was very good, that's it, you've won. That's perfect. That's what you want. Or like, if you can get someone to actually boo you.
Yeah. There seems to be tremendous camaraderie amongst you all, you know. It's a very, very tight-knit group.
We're all like, I think Irish wrestling as a whole now seems to be, I don't know what it was like before, so I don't mean this in a disrespectful manner or anything to anyone in the past. I mean it from me looking from the outside in now, or also from the inside. Everyone seems to be pulling in the same direction now. Everyone is working towards being better, and making Irish wrestling better, regardless of whether that's Hard Knocks, OTT, RCW, Fight Factory, Titanic, the IWA. Everyone is in this game to make wrestling on the island of Ireland better.
Yeah,
it's not a case of like,
open, welcoming. Massively.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can go to wherever you want, and you can join in with the lads, and they're more than welcoming. I went to Fight Factory a couple of weeks ago, and it was just a case of I happened to be in Dublin one night, and I had something on, and I had some time to spare, and I was staying up there for a few hours. So I said, I texted Martin Steers, and I was like, look, what's the story? We're coming out training. He was like, absolutely, you're more than welcome. I think I was there an hour before everyone was training, and there was still people there. There was like Jay Steins, Scoop, Liam Leonard were all there getting ready. Martin Steers was asleep on the couch as usual. That man has narcolepsy. he needs to get tested. But it was just straight up. It was walk in and be like, yeah, cool. Oh, sure, you're one of us. You're here. You know, it's the same. Unfortunately, I haven't got the chance to go to Irish School of Wrestling yet with Joe Cabray and Paddy Morrow, and I've spoke to Paddy numerous times about it. Every time I'm in Dublin for something like that, it seems to be I'm on that side of Dublin where I'm like, I can drop in there, so it's handier for me. I'm going to need to go out of my way. But we do have one or two of our trainees from Hard Knocks go to the Irish School of Wrestling often enough. Conrad would be one.
Okay.
And he's he doesn't have a bad word to say about it. He's like, the lads are sound. They're more than welcoming. The first day I went in, well, how's things? I'm like, everyone will shake your hand. Everyone will run over and like make much of you.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's not, you're not going to show up and there's going to be 6 guys over there and 6 guys over there, and then you standing in the middle and they're looking at you and the other crowd are looking at you and they're like, who's that guy? Everyone is like, well, how's things? Who are you? Come here with us.
Yeah.
And it seems to be that across the whole of Ireland at the moment, which is only a great thing. It helps everyone.
No, it's fantastic. And look, there's valuable life skills you can learn, I suppose, from the wrestling as well, you know, teamwork and discipline and, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And is there many females coming through then as well, Robbie?
Yeah. There is, and there's some here already. Like we mentioned Martina already. Martina is absolutely fantastic. You could put Martina up. Like Martina has worked Ring of Honor. Martina has worked AEW. Martina has been to the very, very top. But Martina has, excuse my language, Martina has bust her bollocks to get to the very top. So like she's getting her just rewards now. Raven Creed is the same. Raven is absolutely fantastic. The best headbutt I think I've ever seen. You were at the show. Was when she hit Renzo and she knocked him back to last week. And then we've got there's a couple of younger girls coming through. Like Katie Harvey is still around as well. Right. Lyra Valkyria is on Raw now.
She's amazing. Yeah.
From here, Becky Lynch from here. Like there's a pathway there for girls and ladies to get to that
Grace
stage,
as well. She's over in Japan, isn't she?
She's in Japan at the moment. Absolutely. Yeah. She's doing fantastic work over there. Wrestling, it is one where we I still think we need to get more women involved, but it's also one where it's like, it's up to the women to get involved rather than, like, we can't go out and be like, hey, you, Jim, there's wrestling on, because they'd be like, that's a bit weird. But more and more women are involved and enjoying wrestling. They're growing up watching it. Like we said at the start, when I was growing up, it was like, that's a boys thing and this is the girls thing. Whereas now it's like, no, it isn't. It's for everyone. So it's only now is kind of we're reaping the benefits of everyone being involved and it being so easily accessible that more ladies are being involved. I can't think of the girl's name off the top of my head. Kat Von K. Kat Von K is above in the Irish School of Wrestling as well.
That's right. Yeah.
She's knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, she was featured on Ireland AM there as well. They did the piece from
and
there.
she was part of the OTT Road to the Top last weekend. She's putting in the work. Yeah. So like, we've one lady with us in Hard Knocks, Laura, and we had another lady with us as well, Charlotte. But she was involved in some stuff, wrestling wise, some stuff. And she's had to take time out for personal reasons now. Okay. But like, we're hoping she comes back as well. So like, there is ladies that it's still probably 10 guys to 1 girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're getting there. It's not 20 guys or 50 guys to 1 girl anymore. Like I remember reading or listening even, because I didn't read it. I listened to Becky Lynch's book and she talks about the first time she went training and it was like, this is all guys and I kind of feel out of place here. I'm the only girl here. It's still that it's still that way in some instances, but it's first of all, it's a lot more. The atmosphere is a lot more friendly nowadays, it seems. But there's more girls there. Like I remember the girl that has left us now. She had been there 2 or 3 weeks and Raven Creek came up and she was training with us and straight away Raven was like, hello, how's things? Lovely to meet you. It's great to see another woman here. And like, she couldn't have been more welcoming to try and like show the trainee there is women here, there is women involved. And the same, I think Martina had been up and down to Hard Knocks for training at the times as well. You couldn't ask more of the likes of Martina and Raven, who are like for want of a better term, they're like the senior pros in the game of Ireland, to talk to these younger people, these younger in a professional wrestling sense, and go, the pathway is there. Keep training, keep putting in the work, and it's there. And now you can see with Kat Von K, she's done exactly the same thing. She's put the work in, and she's getting her just rewards out of it. She's getting featured on OCT shows.
Fantastic to see, yeah. And long may it continue, for sure, you know.
Yep.
Do you find yourself, though, Robbie, like, even though you're a wrestler now, that you know you're still in awe of particular wrestlers you meet, or intimidated in some way, or does that kind of leave you once you become a performer?
That is a really good question, and I don't know is the answer. I no, and I'll tell you why. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm extroverted anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. Like, I remember I was at WrestleMania, met Rhea Ripley, sat down, had a chat with her. I was like, well, how's things? And sat beside her. I trained with James Storm, trained in front of James Storm a couple of weeks ago. Like, there's not many people can say that they've trained in front of James Storm.
Yeah. We
also work with the likes of LJ Cleary, who wrestled Zack Sabre Jr. on a New Japan show no more than 6 months ago, and you're kind of going, he's me. Like, he's sitting down, we're slagging about the same thing, we watch the same shit, we're doing this, we're doing that. Like, they're just normal people. But the character that they are is like a larger than life character. Like, maybe it's a case of, I don't know whether it's a case of, like, if Shawn Michaels walked into the gym, you'd be like, well, Shawn, how's things? Or you'd be like,
that's it.
Kind of dumbstruck. But it's as of now, there hasn't been anyone that's me personally. There hasn't been anyone that I've been starstruck by. But I don't think it's down to me. I think it's down to them. Yeah. Like, I think it was a case of, you know, they're so, like, and I don't want to peel back the curtain too much, because obviously with some of them being heels, some of them or being the bad guy or whatever, but they're so down to earth, and they're so nice and respectable. Like, everyone, as I said, everyone has respect for everyone in here. Everyone is so like that they kind of put you at ease straight away. They do. There's no kind of, now look, don't get me wrong, there definitely is out there. There's going to be some wrestler who thinks he's God's gift, or he actually lives the gimmick type of thing. Robbie, it's in exactly. It's in every walk of life. You're guaranteed there's professional footballers, that you're walking on the road, you're man, well, bud, how's things? And they'll have a chat with you. Whereas you say that to someone else, and they'd go, that's it. Like, don't look at me, peasant. It's there's going to be people out there like that in the wrestling world as well. But like, I haven't come across anyone like that. Okay, good stuff. By the way, have you managed to watch the Vince McMahon documentary at all? That's the talk. No, not yet. Yeah. Not yet. I'm going to watch it, but it's a weird one as well. We were kind of talking about it, and a lot of the stuff that if you're into wrestling, you kind of know the stories behind it anyway. So there's like very, very specific stuff. But I was in work the other day, and there was two lads talking about it, and these lads wouldn't be huge wrestling fans, but they'd know of it. Like, again, kind of watched it when they were kids and then fell out of it. And the two of them were like, man, I didn't know this about this, and I didn't know that about that. And I was like, yes, come back to us. You're fans of wrestling now again. And that's right. But like, it's stuff like that gets people into it. But I won't lie, I'm not watching it because I'm watching Yellowstone at the moment, and I've got 2 episodes of Yellowstone left to watch. And when that's done, straight into Vince. Okay. There's I think Yellowstone is coming back again in November as well. So I'm up to date as of 2 episodes. Okay, very good. No, the Vince thing had mixed reaction, of course. Any of the wrestling fans kind of know, there's been nothing really new that's come out, but anyone that's not a wrestling fan, they're quite shocked by it all. But yeah. Well, I think, am I right in saying, have you watched it? I have, yeah. Okay, am I right in saying is like episode 1 is about Pat Patterson? Or
Episode
episode 2
one,
maybe is about Pat
yeah, I think
Patterson
it's
or something.
episode 2, but they use a lot of footage. You know, the episode 1 is kind of how he built up the whole thing and took over from his dad.
Okay.
They use a lot of the older footage, some great stuff. You know, that
Yeah.
the whole nostalgia you get, that feeling you get when you're watching it.
Yeah,
And then each episode, of course, it goes deeper into everything else. But apparently Vince is going to make his own documentary in response to it because he wasn't happy with how they painted
Sure, the
it.
talk was that he tried to buy that Netflix one to stop it from airing because there was some stuff in it. Like, am I right? And I have to choose my words carefully now here. Am I right in saying that, like, the Pat Patterson episode was loosely based around allegedly being a pedophile ring?
That's correct. Yeah.
So, like, there's people that don't know that. So that type of stuff is what people are going, whoa, did you hear such and such? And we're like, yes, we knew.
Yeah, those stories have been circulating for years about.
But they've been circulating in wrestling circles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like your lapsed fan isn't going to hear about that. Your lapsed fan isn't going to know every bit of knowledge about the Montreal screw job or the plane ride from hell and stuff like that. And you're like, when the plane ride from hell comes up, you're like, I'm sick of hearing about this. I've every time anything is released by WWE, it's like, and the plane ride from hell. Okay, right. Vince, yeah.
Yeah, the stuff about Owen Hart was quite sad as well. I think how they continued
some
that
of that. I saw some of that today. Where was there like screenshots, or there was pictures of like people wrestling afterwards, and like the bloodstains are still on the mat and stuff like that. And
that's correct. Yeah.
I know the show must go on, but Jesus Christ, you're taking that to a new level there. Like Owen Hart, what a professional wrestler, by the way.
Owen Hart, unbelievable. And if I think I was saying to someone recently, he'd be the age of the Undertaker now if he was alive.
Yeah.
And probably be one of the all-time greats.
I firmly believe if Owen Hart, God rest his soul, if Owen Hart had lived on, he'd be in the category for one of the greatest ever. I actually seen a video was it maybe 2 weeks ago? It's Owen Hart versus British Bulldog on, I think it's on an episode of Raw, but it was filmed in Europe somewhere. I think it was filmed in Germany, but it was like for the new European title or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus Christ, it's a great match. Like,
yeah, he had I think it was a 4 or 5 minute match against the 1-2-3 Kid years ago.
Yes, yeah.
And it is one of the greatest matches. Like it's
the same with Bret Hart. I think the 1-2-3 Kid's debut is against Bret Hart, and it's the same thing. It's like it's a perfect example of here's this new upstart going against this wily veteran, and like here's how you structure a match, and here's how you play it off, and here's how the new guy can lose but still come out looking great.
It. Yeah,
it's
putting somebody over no matter what. It's
brilliant
stuff. Yeah, no, definitely. So with OTT coming up, Robbie, the 10th anniversary, and we know Finn Balor and JD McDonough are coming back for that. What are your thoughts on potential opponents for the guys? Who do you think is right up there, maybe in the running?
I feel like Finn Balor and JD McDonough are going to wrestle as a tag team.
I think so.
Therefore, it has to be a tag team that wrestle. Me personally, I would love to see them wrestle the Freshness because I love Martin Sears and Fabio. I think they're very good.
They are, yeah.
But I don't think it will be them. I think it has to be the Social Elite. Like Maxer's history with Finn Balor anyway, and obviously JD McDonough and Maxer would have been kind of in around the Irish scene at the same time as well.
Yeah.
I think there's history there between them, and now with Bullet Smith involved as well. The Social Elite say they're the best tag team in Europe. They're sitting at the top of the mountain. So you can't deny that they are the best tag team in Europe.
Yeah.
So I personally I feel that's going to be the match. And regardless of whether it is the Freshness or whether it is the Social Elite or whether it is BDE, but I'm not sure whether Josh will be back in time, or any other tag team that they have there. The Hype Dogs, Kuro and Mecca at the Hard Knock Show.
Those guys are fantastic.
Anyone that comes in like that, is going to give a 10 out of 10 performance. It's Finn Balor and JD McDonough as well.
Oh, like for sure. Like
JD McDonough, I think for after a while, the first wrestling show that I went to, I kind of went to them sporadically, and then I went to the OTT 5-year anniversary. I think it was the 5-year anniversary anyway. Pretty sure it was. It was in the National Stadium, and you had Terry Thatcher versus Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy versus Be Cool, Scotty Davis versus LJ Cleary in a ladder match. And it blew my mind. I mentioned this on another podcast recently. I was like, the two lads were like 18 and 19 at the time. And I'm like, these two they're kids, they're prodigies. Like they're literal children, and they're putting on a match like this. Like it was as good. Like I think I've watched it once since. But for me, the night of, it was as good as anything I'd seen in any American show live that year, because that was the year I'd done the Mania and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Or the year before maybe. But I was like, this is as good as any of these matches. And the wrestling, the main event of that show was Jordan Devlin versus a certain star who was cancelled. We'll leave that at that. But Jordan Devlin has came from the 5-year anniversary, being in a main event, being the import killer of OTT who turned into the import, as the other person put it, to now coming back in a 10-year span after going through NXT UK and NXT, and then coming up to Raw and SmackDown, and being on the house show circuit with them, and being in pay-per-views, and then like winning the tag titles with Finn Balor. They're now coming back. He's coming back 5 years later and going, look what I've done. Yeah. Like he's got to the very, very top. And again, that's the hard work that he put in.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. There's, the excitement surrounding that whole announcement and everything. And there's even speculation, what other surprises there could be in store. But I think that alone, as a standalone, is really enough anyway.
Oh, the roof lifted off the place up there. Like,
yeah.
It was. I had a weird seat, so I like to sit at the back, so not in the first kind of row of stalls, but in the back, so I can stand up if need be and move around. But the seats that we got were the ones that were closest to the stage, so I couldn't see the screens, we'd say. So I'm walking down the steps, and you can just see me like peek around the steps to see what it is, and I still can't see, and then everyone is screaming, and I'm still going, I don't know who it is. And it was only like another 2 or 3 steps down. I was like, oh my God. Mine was a delayed reaction because I didn't know who it was.
No, brilliant. I was gone to the Jacks and came back.
And Jesus, silly.
The place was
you missed
mad.
It altogether.
Yeah.
You're in there going, something must be happening. They weren't this
sure. No, but
great show that night as well. LJ Cleary versus Nick Nemeth that night as well. Absolute fantastic. Great match. Yeah. Freshness performing their new single Tenors. Check it out on Spotify. Performing that live and then going out to face the Social Elite. Danhausen somehow winning a title and losing it the next night. But Joe Cabret, to his credit, Joe Cabret pulls out all the stops as well. And I know someone had a word recently about the price of tickets or something like that, and Joe came on and was like, look, here's what it is, and he was like, they're still very, very fairly priced. And like, I don't think one person was like, actually, Joe, I don't think they are, because like he justified everything, and he was like, now, not that he has to justify anything, because
what they're offering is crazy. And what you pay WWE for a ticket to anything.
It's like, bud, you're going to see JD McDonough and Finn Balor. Shut the fuck up and buy your ticket.
Exactly.
And you're also going to see some of the best wrestlers in Europe on the same night wrestling these people.
That's it. But like wrestling across Ireland, it's just so accessible now compared to, and it's if you want to see live wrestling, there's nothing like seeing it live. You can watch it on YouTube all you want, but being at the live event is where it's at.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's a video somebody sent me of Hard Luck Volume 2. We had a rumble at Hard Luck Volume 2.
Yeah.
And I said going into it, no matter what number I draw, so be it. Because people were like, oh, well, you're the GM, you're going to do such and such. And I was like, no, fair is fair. I said, I play by the book. I said, no matter what number I draw. So ended up drawing number 1, idiot. I came out and I had my entrance, and I remember getting up on the turnbuckle and I had the crowd singing. And someone sent me a video of it. And they sent me a video of them in the crowd underneath. And I'm like, it's still not a patch on what it was the night of. I was like, The Rock is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment because he is because of the electricity that he gets from the audience. Like there is a palpable electricity in the air when something happens. You can feel it. There's this aura of like something's going to happen or something big has happened, or you're like, for example, the show you were at, Francis Mercer has built himself up, and he's done so well, and he's got there, and then you could feel like, look, take nothing away from Terry Thatcher. Terry Thatcher beat him on the night. It was an absolute fantastic match. It was probably one of the best matches of the year so far. Absolute cracking match. There was a split second after that match ended where the air was sucked out of the room, and you could feel it. I'm sure you in the crowd was like, oh. And then people were like, wow. It was a weird kind of, oh, what's going on here?
That's it.
And then I remember,
the full emotions.
It's a full range of emotion. I remember we were the second match on the card, and I remember it was like the lads came out, Strong Style came out and they got booed, and then Jay Steins came out and he got booed, and Monty and Cormac had came out.
Yeah.
And when my music hit, I was like, nah. And I as Russell said, I took the scenic route. I came around the back, and I was like, I'm here for a scrap. I'm not walking into this ring.
Take on any man.
I pulled Reardon out underneath the bottom rope, and the whole place erupted.
That's right.
And I was like, you could feel like, it was like, at that stage, it was like you could feel working like peaks and troughs and stuff like that, but to elicit reactions and emotions out of people. But you can feel that as part of the crowd. You can feel that as well. You're like, oh, something big is happening here. Right. I think legitimately best moment, if you can go back and watch it and look for Hard Luck of 2023. So it would have been Hard Luck Volume 1 as it is now, but I think it's about an hour and 40 minutes in, maybe. Terry Thatcher had vacated the title because Terry was injured at the time. So we had a match for the Hard Knocks title. Renzo Rose versus Butch Armstrong. And Renzo beat Butch. And Renzo is celebrating, and just around him, LJ's music hits. And LJ comes out to cash in. And the place goes mental.
Brilliant.
Like, so this Hard Knock show that was just gone was your first show, was it?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Undeniable.
So the show before that, which was Hard Luck Volume 2.
Yeah.
We kept this under wraps, like very, very hush hush. There was only 4 of us knew, because it was by the time we got it and stuff like that. 4 of us, maybe 5 of us, including the wrestler, up until day of. No one knew about that LJ Cleary announcement until it happened.
Yeah.
Some of the wrestlers didn't know about that LJ Cleary announcement.
That's crazy.
Until it happened.
Yeah.
But it was we didn't know until the night before, where he was like, yes, I can confirm that I'm here. So I was like, dude, if you can get me a video, we'll play it. And it was so simple. It was the match had ended, and Sammy D had beaten Keane Noonan that night. Match of the year contender, by the way. And I know I've said that a couple of times, but legitimately match of the year contender. I must say, before I talk about the announcement, a massive shout out to Fionn Hurley. Fionn is out sick at the moment. He's incapacitated. We wish him all the best of luck, and we wish him well, and we hope he's back soon. So we're waiting for Fionn to edit the videos, is basically what I'm saying there. So Sammy beats Cian Noonan, and the screen goes black, and all you see is a jacket, and it pans up, and you just see the Noah logo. And there's only maybe a half a second between the Noah logo and his face, but the minute the Noah logo hits, there's like 7 or 8 people are screaming already.
Wow.
And then it gets up higher, and it's LJ's face. The video, the crowd was so loud, we had to play the video a second time because you couldn't hear it the first time, for him to say, I will be here on such and such a date, which is the next show, and I'm here to face Sammy D. Now, due to unforeseen circumstances, that didn't happen between Sammy and LJ on the last show, obviously, but that's the reaction of like, there was one guy there and he was like, I didn't know what was going on, but everyone else was screaming, so I got excited as well. I was like, that's wrestling. I was like, that's the perfect analogy for like, it's basically group or mob mentality. Everyone is against the bad guy, everyone is with the good guy, within reason. Like,
that's it. I just feel with LJ, we need to lap up as much as we can of him.
Yeah,
because there will come a day he'll be like Finn Balor and JD McDonough. I think he'll be off, and you don't know when you'll see him back. You know, that kind of way.
I reckon LJ Cleary versus Martin Steers might be. Hopefully, I'll be 100% honest with you. Fingers crossed for him, because if this does come true, that means that it's a good thing for him. I firmly hope that was the last time we see LJ Cleary in a Hard Knocks ring.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, without him having signed somewhere massive, like, and I'm talking like New Japan, AEW, WWE type massive. Like, Noah is a massive company now. He's back in Japan at the moment with Noah wrestling again.
That's right.
It's only a matter of time before he gets snapped up.
Definitely.
And like, he's been putting in the work for 10 plus years now at this stage. LJ Cleary is an overnight sensation that is not an overnight sensation. You know, he's a 10-year overnight sensation. But then so is the likes of Renzo Rose, and I mentioned Renzo a while ago. I seen a picture on Renzo's Instagram or something. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, where it's like, on this day 4 years ago, and it's Renzo putting in the work then, and you're like, or on this day 6 years ago maybe, and Martin Steers has been wrestling for years and he's getting his just rewards now. Fabio is the same. CBL, I think the lads had an interview with CBL. I think CBL has been wrestling for 7 years now or something, he said. Now we're seeing how good CBL is.
Yeah.
So like, it's all these fellas that, does it look like CBL has had a great year this year and last year? Oh, grand. So CBL is this guy, he's wrestling 2 years. No, he's not. CBL was busting his balls for 5 years beforehand to make sure that when he finally explodes, that he does it in such a way that you can't ignore him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, CBL, in my opinion, is one of the best in the country as well. Like, he's top notch.
He's unbelievable, yeah, and he needs to get that gold card for Coppers as well.
Yeah.
He's so
Coppers are. Do you know what? It's Coppers' loss at this stage. If they don't get that man a gold card, I've lost all faith in humanity. You can talk about your 330,000 bike shelters, but the real travesty of Ireland is CBL not having a Coppers gold card.
100%.
You could chop that bit up, and that's your thumbnail for getting CBL to watch this video. It's like, Coppers gold card, I'm in.
That's it. Sort it out, Coppers. Come on.
Yeah. Get your finger out, Coppers.
And for you then, Robbie, how long do you feel you can continue? As you're a bit late starting and stuff like that.
You're giving me the end of my career before.
No, not at all. Jesus, no.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. In wrestling now, not in life. I hope I'm here in life for a very long time. But I'm not, like, I'm, as I said, I'm wrestling 2 years as of the 4th of October. I've been training 2 years as of the 4th of October. I'm 37 in 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
I'm not young. Do you know, I'm like, if I could go back, I probably would have started this 10 years ago. 15 years ago at this stage.
You started, that's the main thing. You're in it.
Exactly.
You're doing it.
So I'm going to get as much out of it as I can or give as much back as I can. Like, again, peeling the curtain back a bit. Am I going to win the OTT world title? Probably not. Am I even going to make an OTT show? Maybe. One of their smaller shows, maybe. Am I going to do my best to get there? Yes, absolutely. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm going to try to be on the RCW shows. I'm going to try and be on the Fight Factory shows. I'm going to try we go up the Contenders or the 3-day weekends and see can we get on the shows there. Fine. I'm going to try my best to be on the Hard Knock shows. If a time comes where it's like, okay, you've got to a certain level, but like, I'm there for, as I said, I'm there for a good time. I'm not there for a long time, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone in a sense there where they talk about like this is going to be people's careers and stuff like that. I'm treating this as a career as of now.
Yeah.
But I also have a separate career, which is like my real life work and stuff like that. I know there's lads out there that are actual like proper, like LJ Cleary. LJ Cleary is a professional wrestler for life.
Yeah.
I don't mean any disrespect towards LJ Cleary when I say like I'm not aiming for the OTT world title. I am, of course I am. Everyone is. Everyone in Ireland, everyone that's a wrestler should be aiming for every title. I think my point is more so I'm happy being like lower down. You know, I'm there to help. I'm there to put on the matches, and we'll have a bit of crack, and we'll take a couple of bumps, and we'll do this and we'll do that. Am I ever going to get the chance to wrestle for the world title? Probably not.
Yeah,
you got to be
never
happy
say
with that.
Never, Robbie.
But I'm content in like there's people that are better positioned.
Yeah.
Than me to be in, or there's people that are in better positions at the moment to get them opportunities. That's fine. Like, it's a weird one. Like professional football teams, they all need a kit man. You know, it's maybe that's the wrong analogy, but like they all need a sub. They all need like they have a squad. I'm happy to be part of the squad.
I think that's what Hacksaw Jim Duggan said as well about the likes of Hulk Hogan. You know, Hulk Hogan was always the quarterback, but he needed a team around him, you know, as well with the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're not gonna. One man does not make a show, and I'm more than happy to be part of the team. And like, I can't remember. It was actually Francis Mercer said it to me, but I think it was. Did he say either Scotty Too Hotty or Brian Kendrick had said it? If you don't show up, you can't be part of the team.
Yeah, that's it.
The best thing to be is part of the team. So but that's what Irish wrestling is.
Yeah,
it's a massive, massive team,
and
we're all
continue.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And if you could choose an opponent realistically for before the year is out to take on, who would that be?
Oh, that is a great shout. I've got two in mind. Yeah. I'll give you a little tidbit of information about our next show.
Okay.
I've got a little beef with one guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but you'll find out soon. Now, he is not one of the two people that I will give you two names of two people that I would absolutely love to wrestle. But I have to give this fella a dig in the head first. And after that, so this is pushing for the next Hard Knock show. This guy's getting a slap into the mouth off me. But besides that, if it's just a random show and they said, "Oh fuck, man, you're going to put me on the spot now here," but I do have two. I'd love to wrestle Terry Thatcher.
Yeah.
And I'd love to wrestle Danny Cross. At the same time, I would also like to wrestle Martin Steers. I've wrestled Martin Steers once before. I'd like to wrestle Martin Steers one-on-one.
Okay.
I would also like to wrestle Fabio one-on-one. And just while we're on that topic, Fabio and Martin Steers remind me of Pinky and the Brain from the Animaniacs all those years ago. Martin Steers is obviously the long one. Or sorry, Fabio's obviously the long one. Martin Steers is the other one.
It's fight and talk.
I fight both of them. I kill them.
Good stuff.
Them and their tenors. I'd love to wrestle Raven Creed. I have massive respect for Raven Creed. I think she's absolutely fantastic.
She's amazing.
Butch Armstrong, I'd love to step in the ring with Butch Armstrong. I wrestled Boots a couple of months ago. I'd love to step back in a ring
Another
with Boots again.
fantastic wrestler, yeah.
Back from injury there recently. Great to see him back as well. But my top two, that, like, if you were to say to me, pick someone, I'd be like, Terry Thatcher, I want him, or Danny Cross, Jay. I'd be like, yeah, give me one of them and I'll wrestle them. I think we'd have a good match, but we'd also have a bit of crack. But if it was straight up like, let me wrestle the same, just as a fan, I'd be like, let me get in the ring with him. He's my guy. He's my favorite. I'd like to wrestle Cian Noonan, but I don't think I'd be able to keep up with him. I'm pretty quick. I don't think I'm as quick as Cian Noonan.
Brilliant.
I'd be like, Cian, 3 minutes in, I'm like, Cian, please slow down. I'll just lie on the ground for you. I'm not able to do it.
Good stuff.
And
well, look, Robbie, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we could talk to you all evening here. So I'll have to have you back for another chat sometime.
We'll have to do a part 2. You only got about 12 words in for the whole show, and it was just me doing the rest of it. So
the other lads, they have their own way of doing it anyway. Fair play to them. But look, fantastic. And if anyone wants to find you then online, we have your name there. It's Robbie_Mack_1. And anywhere else then that you'd like to give a shout out to?
No, I think most of my stuff is linked through Instagram anyway. So that's my Instagram handle. If you go on there, I'm on TikTok. I think there's some videos on TikTok. I don't know what the handle of it is. It's on Instagram. You'll find it there. It's like, here's my one place where I'll post everything, and you can find everything from there. So I just work on that.
Well, look, thanks a million for joining me, Robbie. It's been a pleasure. And look, guys, you can follow me all across the socials as well, Irish Wrestle Talk. And we'll talk to you again soon. And until next time, keep grappling with greatness.